With Aero Rover's recent addition to our roster came a lot of questions about their Echo set options, how their new set works, and how good they'll be at Sequence 6 with their Refinement 5 weapon. In this video, I'll be breaking this down and providing a bit of future insight on what we can expect out of the newest set, Gusts of Welkin. Before we can get into the raw damage output, we first need to go over a few important details of Aero Rover's kit. The first detail to go over is that their aero damage amplification can be utilized without any restrictions, giving them viability in any aero team, as long as they're using their free weapon Blood Pack's Pledge. The second is that the new set Gusts of Welkin requires the Resonator, in this case Aero Rover, to inflict aero erosion. This means that the Gust of Welkin set can only work on Rover if you're using a Resonator that can inflict negative status, which currently is only Spectral Rover, which you can't use here for obvious reasons, and Phoebe. In some of these tests, I'll be using Phoebe even though the damage is going to be generally worse, since Phoebe doesn't provide much to the team in her Spectral Frazzle form, and since we're removing her Spectral Frazzle with Rover, it will be even lower. But it's still good to showcase for future teams for when Aero Rover will be able to utilize this mechanic more effectively. For the first test I wanted to showcase, let's take a look at Phoebe, Rover, and Gian, comparing S0R1 Rover to S6R5 Rover with the new set Gusts of Welkin. Not only does Aero Rover get an additional increase of about 34% damage in this setup, but Gian also receives a nice increase from the additional refinements of Blood Pack's Pledge, which we will eventually get for free, granting Gian about an additional 15% damage increase. Now with that being said, the following test will be done with S6R5 Rover, since we'll be getting this for free in due time, and since we're likely going to be getting more value out of Rover for future teams anyways. In this second test, we'll be looking at Rejuvenating Glow versus Sierra Gale, since we can't proc Gusts of Welkin's 5-piece buffs without aero erosion. I went ahead and included the intro attack on Rover to allow Sierra Gale to activate its 30% aero damage bonus for this comparison to help out Sierra Gale just a bit. Rejuvenating Glow edges out in strength due to its team-wide buffs, even though Aero Rover's damage will go down quite a bit. Rejuvenating Glow also provides a bit more healing, granting this set a clear victory in this type of scenario. For the third test, we're going to be comparing Rover as a supportive and healer role, along with Shorekeeper to provide a very high utility team for Gian, and compare Moonlit Clouds to Sierra Gale. The results aren't too surprising, since Moonlit Clouds provides very solid buffs for the next character, giving Moonlit Clouds a close victory. The fourth test isn't a comparison, but just a demonstration of Aero Rover's DPS abilities. While it's not nearly as strong as a character like Gian, it does come with a lot of utility that can help with more difficult content like holograms, since S6R5 Rover's damage is decent enough to be ran this way even with Sierra Gale. This team provides Shorekeeper's healing, Alto's taunt, and Rover's solid damage and healing, making this team good enough for most content. Now for this last test, I wanted to showcase Gusts of Welkin's potential. While the total team damage is slightly behind for Gusts of Welkin in this scenario, it does provide a very large damage increase for Rover. And with the release of future characters, there's likely going to be Resonators that can better leverage the buffs this Echo set offers, like if we had a Phoebe that could buff Aero Rover's damage. Another thing to look out for would be an Aero DPS Resonator that could inflict a different element that Aero Rover can convert into aero erosion, or an Echo that can have this effect. Even though Aero Rover's set is highly team dependent, we can still go over what skills and Echo roles to prioritize. In terms of skill level priority, you're going to want to focus on leveling your Forte, since this provides the majority of the damage from your kit, including your multiplier from Unbound Flow, but also your Cloudburst Dance, which provides more damage and healing. After leveling your Forte, your Liberation will provide more damage than leveling the other abilities and more healing. The other abilities aren't as important, but leveling your skill and basic attack evenly will be optimal, and last, your intro. As for your 3-cost main stats, you will get slightly more damage out of aero damage bonus, but personally I would go for attack percent for one of them, as this will provide quite a bit more healing for the team. For your substat priority, you're going to want to try and get crit rate and crit damage, since Aero Rover's damage is actually pretty good. Next, go for attack percent, which will give you more damage than Resonance skill damage bonus since your damage is somewhat mixed, and on top of that, you get more healing. If you're lucky enough to go for a 4th substat, going for Resonance skill damage bonus will improve Aero Rover's damage quite a bit, followed by Energy Recharge for slightly smoother rotations. And now, we can go over my conclusion. Aero Rover's best set will highly depend on the way you're planning on using them, but personally, even though it didn't perform as well as the other sets in many cases, I'm going to be going with the new Gusts of Welkin set, since Rover's name is literally in its description, and with the hope that Kuro isn't baiting us. If you want to play it safe, slapping on Verina's Rejuvenating Glow or a decent Moonlit Cloud set would be a decent option for the meantime until we know more about future Resonators. What set do you plan on using in the meantime? Let me know down in the comments below. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe, as I will be making pre-release guides for future characters and other related videos. Here's a quick showcase of Aero Rover with Moonlit as a support with Shorekeeper, and S6 Alto with Last Dance as a main DPS, and another with Aero Rover with Rejuvenating Glow, S6 Alto, and S6 Sanwa versus the new Tower Adversity to showcase Aero Rover. The footage here is with an account I borrowed since my Alto is definitely not built like the one seen here. And for those Alto mains out there, forgive me for my suboptimal gameplay in advance, and please enjoy.